What's crappening? Welcome to Under the Foreskin, a show dedicated to the happenings of the SJU and Misfits Fantasy Football League. Our show today falls somewhere between Sean Green Week 5 and Sean Green Week 6 on the good-bad scale. If you played Sean Green last week, you'll know what I'm talking about, and I think you'll judge the show somewhere in between those two scores. Very special guest on Under the Foreskin Hotline today. The newest married member of the SJU and Misfits Fantasy Football League, Leandknfsgnski, will be joining us for trade talks and picks for Week 7. Until that time, I will run you through the happenings of Week 6, who won, who lost, who made good decisions, who made bad decisions, starting with the Crapstone Prairie Dogs taking on the Poughkeepsie Pandas. The Crapstone Prairie Dogs fell a little short this week, 81-116. Newcomers for the Crapstone Prairie Dogs, Adrian Peterson and Torrey Smith, put up a combined 20 points. A solid game, probably not what owner-operator Alex Dunn was looking for, but, can't complain with 20 points out of two guys. AJ Green, though, just continues to light it up with 26 points again this week, 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards. Guy is just going ham on the league. Number 1 wide receiver far and away. I like to recognize good plays when I see them. I don't always spot them just because I'm not a great fantasy football mind. But Tyler, the owner-operator of the Poughkeepsie Pandas, benched the Houston defense versus Green Bay, which Houston defense most people think is a top 5 defense in the NFL, and he started Tampa Bay's defense, who played Brady Quinn and the Kansas City Chiefs. That was a nice trade a nice start for Tyler Olson, and he scored 18 more points in the happening, giving him a little more breathing room going into Sunday evening's games. The Narbonne Butte Pirates took on the Bakersfield Border Collies in what was tied for the closest match of the week. The Butte Pirates won 76-74. Steady contributors for most of the positions on the Butte Pirates. Not a lot of highs, not a lot of lows, which I'm sure Zach is happy to see. This was the opposite for the Bakersfield Border Collies. They had 5 players who scored 8 points together. Robert Griffin did lead the team with 35 points, but it just wasn't enough, as Jermichael Finley only needed to score 3 points to tie, 4 points to win on Sunday night, and he couldn't get it done. He scored 1 point, so that really hurt the Border Collies, and Jermichael Finley was instantly shipped to the Tallahassee Trouser Snakes for Jeremiah Gresham, I believe. Next up, Duluth Draft Dodgers took on the Hollywood Hotties in the upset of the week. I didn't see this one coming. I didn't see Joik Bell having a game, and he really didn't, but a lot of other Duluth Draft Dodgers stepped up. They won 82-68. Optimal lineup for the Hollywood Hotties. Could have won him the game. Tampa Mike Williams, he left 12 points on the bench, I believe, and he started Michael Crabtree. 18 points on the bench, and he started Michael Crabtree, who scored 3 points. 15 more points would have gave him a 1-point victory and won it. Still, tough to start, Mike Williams or Crabtree. It's a toss-up. Can't blame Elson for that. The Dodgers put a fire under Des Bryant's ass, and it worked. He scored 21 points, which propelled the Dodgers to victory. Sioux City Smugglers took on the Sausage Wallets in the battle of 1 versus 2. Smugglers won in a blowout, 112-58. A. Rogers finally had that big game that we've been looking for, and Alex Dunn sat there shaking his head saying, "Where was that while I had him?" 38 points, 6 touchdowns against the Houston defense. Tough to see that coming. Great game all around. 3 guys on the Smugglers scored 10 touchdowns total. That's pretty impressive. And for those Sausage Wallets, just a pretty decrepit day out of everyone. I think Percy Harvin was his leading scorer with 14 points, which is a solid day out of a wideout, but at the same time, that's your leading scorer. It's going to be a tough road. Next up, Buffalo Armadillos, the team that the guest today owns, Leandknfsgnski. They took on the Flint Tropics in the other closest game of the week. 2-point difference in this, 68-66. The Tropics came out on top. If you would have told me before this, the team with Trent Richardson and Ray Rice would have lost to Shane Drawn and Ben Tate, I never would have believed you. Rice and T. Rich did outscore Drawn and Ben Tate, but it wasn't enough overall, as 8 of the 9 Buffalo Armadillos scored below their projections. Tropics' 3-headed wide receiver monster finally reared its beautiful face and scored 37 points, which propelled the Tropics to victory. Next game, Tallahassee Trouser Snakes took on the Waco Wrinkle Beast and won this game, 110-99. Vic Welker over 20 points each. Ahmad Bradshaw, 18 points against the Niners. Tough to see that one coming. Really no holes in the lineups. Good, solid effort from everyone around. The Waco Wrinkle Beast, even though it was a loss and it sent them down to 1-5, it was a good effort with Drew Brees on bye. You have to believe with Brees starting that game, might have a chance to win. He did leave the New York Giants defense on the bench against San Francisco, and they did score 22 points, which, again, another hard to see because he did start the Cincinnati defense at Cleveland. And, Braden Whedon, after that Week 1 disaster, has kind of turned it around and is looking like an okay player. Maybe, just starting any defense against Cleveland isn't the right play. But still, Niners are good, and at home, tough to start the Giants defense again. So can't fault you for that one, Stack. Last matchup, my team, the Potomac Pretenders, were shocked by the Chernobyl Tin Whiskers. 30 burgers from Sean Green, scored 35, and Jordy Nelson, who scored 31, killed me this week. Sean Green's previous 4 weeks, point totals consisted of 2, 4, 3, and 3. And then, of course, he puts up 35 this week. So congratulations to Mike Vanis for getting all you can get out of Sean Green. He won you that game. The final score was 142 to 118. Highest scoring game of the week. Both teams would have beat every other team in the league. Pretenders, did have one bright spot. Antonio Gates finally got off the schneid and scored 20 points. Looked good on Sunday night. Nice to see that as he was almost in cut territory. So we will get Leandknfsgnski on the phone here to talk about Waiver Wire Wednesday and the trading block. Let me give him a ring up here, and we'll get his thoughts on picks as well. What's crappening, Jack? Welcome to Under the Foreskin.
Glad to be down here.
Nice to have you on the Under the Foreskin hotline today. Where are you calling in from? Beautiful Buffalo?
Actually, charming Plymouth, Minnesota.
Oh, charming Plymouth, Minnesota. At the residence, I see.
Yeah.
Let's dive into Waiver Wire Wednesday with Felix Jones already on the Flint Tropics. Not a lot to report this week. Philip Tanner, Felix Jones' backup, went for $21 to the Gnawbone Butte Pirates. Montario Hardesty, you picked up handcuffed T. Rich with those sore ribs. And Josh Gordon, the Cleveland wide receiver, went for $11. He's had 5 catches in his last 2 games, 3 of which were touchdowns. So, not a lot to say about any of those, but at least worth mentioning. You happy to have Hardesty on your team with what's T. Rich's status? Do you know yet?
I was a little worried when I heard about the ribs, but I think he's going to end up probable.
Okay, good to hear. The trading block this week. We had a blockbuster right after Under the Foreskin aired last week, which sent Jordy Nelson, Stevie Johnson, and Richard Mendenhall to the Chernobyl Tin Whiskers from the Crapstone Prairie Dogs in return for Adrian Peterson, Torrey Smith, and insignificant Toby Gerhardt. Obviously, Jordy Nelson won the game for the Chernobyl Tin Whiskers this week. That 30-point effort he put up against me locked in the victory for him. Crapstone Prairie Dogs not as fortunate. AP and Torrey Smith, I said earlier, 20 points. But, a good trade probably in the end for the Crapstone Prairie Dogs. What are your thoughts on the trade there, Mr. Leandknfsgnski?
I agree. I think we're looking at a trade a little one-sided for Gunner. AP and Torrey Smith a little stronger than Stevie Johnson and Jordy Nelson. Jordy, I don't see him putting up the same numbers he did last year. So I like the trade for Dunner.
Yeah, I do too. I'm in the same boat. And, Richard Mendenhall, a little bit of a wild card. Looked good week 1, obviously got hurt again week 2. Been a constant problem for him throughout his career. And then just today, just before I phoned in you, I dealt Malcolm Floyd, journeyman, for Denarius Moore from the Oakland Raiders. Both of them are number 1 wide receivers technically. I would say both are bottom of the barrel number 1s. But we'll see. I don't know. Floyd is just too consistent for me. I need a little more up and down out of my wideouts.
Yeah, I think a change of scenery might be good for both of them, but in the end, I think we're dealing with a crust swap.
Yep, I agree. It is a crust swap. Well said. All right, Week 7 picks. We'll start with the Chernobyl Tin Whiskers at the Poland Sausage Wallets. This game, matches up Richard Mendenhall versus Isaac Redmond. Both have yet to practice this week. One back on each team. And the Sausage Wallets are also starting somebody by the name of Johnny White, who I believe is a backup running back to Alex Green in Green Bay. Even so, The Chicago D, after being on bye last week, they're back in it this week. They score 30 points every week for some fucking reason. I'm not sure how. Chernobyl's favored. I'm gonna take the Tin Whiskers. Or pardon me, I'm gonna take the Sausage Wallets. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm looking at this matchup. I think I'm gonna have to go with the Sausage Wallets. I don't see Jordy Nelson putting up 9 points this week. I don't think he's gonna get as many looks. And again, Percy Harvin, the Minnesota offense runs right through him. Andrew Luck had a down week last week. He's playing against some scrubs in Cleveland. I like the Sausage Wallets.
Yeah, I think that's the right pick. And I will say, looking at the picks this week, every game with the exception of one, when kickoff happens on Sunday afternoon, every game will probably be within 10 points of each other. So some really, really tough picks this week, with the exception of one, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Next up, Tallahassee Trouser Snakes take on the Flint Tropics in the battle of the 3-3s. Favorable matchups, I think, for both teams, but with Michael Vick on bye and Brandon Whedon in versus Indianapolis for the Trouser Snakes, it's not a bad sub. Vick has been putting the ball on the ground a lot and losing points. Obviously, still manages to put up decent fantasy days, but I think Whedon's a sleeper this week. I kind of like him. The Flint Tropics, for the first time in a long time, have a starting running back in Felix Jones. And Aaron Hernandez is back for the Patriots. Caught a touchdown last week. Another tough game to pick. I think I'm going Trouser Snakes on this one, though, just because I pick against them every week, and they prove me wrong often. What do you like, Jack?
Yeah, I think I'm going with the Tallahassee Trouser Snakes in this one. I don't like, again, Dinger doesn't have very strong showing from his running backs. Again, Carolina running backs are terrible anyway. So I'm going with Tallahassee on this one.
It's hard to. Dinger is the king of the last-minute insert players into roster. So, I mean, he has Darren Sproles on the bench, I see, and obviously he's going to probably start Felix Jones, and he does have the Carolina back. So he's got some decisions to make, but I think Trouser Snakes are the safe bet here. Next up, the safest bet, the Sioux City Smugglers take on the Duluth Draft Dodgers. The Dodgers upset last week in the upset of the week. I just don't see it happening again. The Smugglers are just too good, and only Jamal Charles on bye. Just not a lot of holes in that lineup, even with Jamal Charles missing. For Adam and the Duluth Draft Dodgers, no Matty Ice, no Roddy White. That combo's been good for him this year. When he wins, those two usually hook up. I think the easy pick here is the Smugglers, and I'm guessing you're thinking the same.
Yeah, it's got to be the Smugglers this time around. I mean, if Adam was going to have a shot, he needed Roddy and Matty Ice in there. But I really hope Aaron Rodgers goes down with a concussion.
Yeah, and the St. Louis Rams, they have decent cornerbacks. Not sure about their pass rush. So he'll probably still be standing at the end of this week, but who knows in the NFL. Next up, Hollywood Hotties take on the Gnawbone Butte Pirates. I think this is Cam's breakout week. He's been a little slow to start. Obviously was a star last year. And for the Hotties, not having DeMarco Murray against Carolina tips the scales for me. Butte Pirates are favored 85-78. I'm going Butte Pirates. What are your thoughts, Jack?
I'm leaning for the Hollywood Hotties on this one. I think the Victor Cruz missile is going to have a big game against the ratty Washington defense.
Fair point.
So we'll see. I know it's too bad with the Hotties because I think they're really one of the only teams that had a shot to beat Roger, but with the injuries to DeMarco Murray, I don't think we're going to have any big upsets in the near future.
Yeah, I think you're right. Roger's looking pretty invincible. I think something's going to have to change on his team, not on other people's teams, to get a win against them. Next up, the Bakersfield Border Collies take on the Poughkeepsie Pandas in an extremely tough game to pick. I received a text from the Border Collies owner, Jason Johannes, saying that if his team loses this week, he will be moving the team to Baton Rouge. I think that's going to be the X factor in this game. I like the Border Collies with the 2 tight end set that they're going to be running. I think RG3 will have another standout game like he seems to every week. Just Poughkeepsie Pandas. I like their wide receivers better than the Border Collies. I like the Border Collies running backs better. Really tough game to pick. I think the X factor is that they're moving to Baton Rouge if they lose. Bakersfield won't stand for that. I'm going Border Collies.
You see, I got to go with Poughkeepsie Pandas on this one. I can't see RG3 putting up 22 points at a division rival. I don't see him getting 22 against New York. So I'm going with the Poughkeepsie Pandas on this one. AJ Green's gonna have a big game. Poughkeepsie Pandas.
I like it. And one more X factor in that game. The Border Collies are starting the Vikings defense this week. Jason and I will be at the game cheering the defense on for him. They're starting John Skelton, who's still a little woozy, I think. It will be interesting to see how he plays.
Good point.
Your team, the Buffalo Armadillos, takes on the Crapstone Prairie Dogs. It's our first look at the three-headed monster in Crapstone in Marshawn Lynch, Adrian Peterson, and Matt Forte. Lynch is at San Francisco tonight. AP is at Arizona on Sunday, a decent run defense, and Forte takes on Detroit on Monday. Hard to say if Bush will snake some touchdowns from Forte. Gosh, who knows? If you had Demaryius Thomas in your lineup, I'd be going Buffalo Armadillos all the way. But without him, I think Santana Moss and David Wilson are just a little bit of Swiss cheese in your lineup. I'm going Crapstone.
Yeah, we're looking a little crusty this week. And Trent Richardson has been up and down all year. I don't like it, but I got to go with my boys. I'm hoping for David Wilson 40-yard touchdown run, but we'll see.
Well, cross your fingers. I'm rooting for you, Jack. You know I love you. The Potomac Pretenders, my team, take on the Waco Wrinkle Beasts. I have 5 starters on bye this week. Bye week blues in Potomac. I'm starting Hasselback over Stafford, another bold move. Last week I started Kevin Cobb, and Stafford did outscore him thanks to overtime and the last half of the fourth quarter. I felt pretty smart up till then. It didn't make a difference in the game when all was said and done, so I guess I can't poke myself in the eye too much. I like Hasselback this week. I think the Buffalo defense is putrid, and Stafford plays Chicago on Monday night, and I just don't like the sight of that. For Waco, Chris Johnson, actually pretty decent against the Steelers last week. He plays Buffalo this week, bad run defense. A little unsure about that. I think he'll regress to his normal self of 3 points. Drew Brees obviously makes me nervous against Tampa. I got to go Pretenders, though. D-Mac and Maurice Jones-Drew, we finally get to see him shine together. I'm calling 50 points out of those two. I'm going to win this game in a landslide.
Yep, I'm going with your Pretenders as well. I can't see Senior Ice putting up 7 points. Maybe Kyle Rudolph could snag a couple touchdowns, but Joel's got a cute team over there, but it's just not ready to shine in this league.
Not quite ready. And to his credit, he was no keepers in the draft, so he's drafting with the full squad, which isn't an advantage with how good some of the keepers were this year. So
yeah, absolutely. He was playing from behind at the beginning.
Yeah, behind the 8 ball, no question. But he's furnished a decent team, and he'll shock some people, I think, along the way. So congratulations to Joel. Jack, that's it for picks. How's married life treating you?
Oh, it's great.
Great.
I've never had so much fun putting stuff together from Target before in my life.
Oh, I thought you were going to say sex, but then you said fun putting stuff together from Target. But anyways, thank you for joining the show, Jack. As always, follow us on Twitter at SJU Misfits and on YouTube, SJUN Misfits, for up-to-the-minute stats, scores, goings-ons, trades, waiver wire, Under the Foreskin every week. You can't miss it. Until next week, good luck out there, everybody, and thanks for tuning in.